I woke up to the sharp scent of something strange, metallic, bitter, and a lightness around my neck that made my heart drop. The mirror didn't lie. My hair, my waist-length, carefully grown and cared-for chestnut hair, was hacked off in uneven clumps. At first, I thought I'd been robbed, mugged in my own bed. But then I saw the scissors lying neatly on my dresser, the same craft scissors my mother used to cut old receipts. Next to them was a sticky note, like a slap to the face. "You'll still look fine. Focus on your speech for Hannah's big day. Mom." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. I stood frozen, the strands still on my pillow, like part of me had died in my sleep. That wedding was supposed to be my one chance to stand in front of people who'd ignored me for years, to finally wear the navy silk dress I bought with my own salary, not ask anyone for approval, and speak with confidence. Instead, I looked like I lost a bet. When I walked into the kitchen, my father barely looked up from his cereal. "Oh, good, you're up," he said. "Less hair makes your face look less distracting anyway. The attention's not supposed to be on you." My mother sipped her coffee and added, "It's Hannah's wedding. Let her shine." Let her shine? They acted like I was some threat to the sun, like I'd ruin the entire wedding just by standing in a nice dress and being visible. Let me explain something. I was the daughter they always managed, not the one they celebrated. Hannah got the designer dresses and violin lessons. I got the hand-me-downs and be grateful talks. Hannah got a graduation trip to Paris. I got told to work weekends to save for college, which I did. I moved out at 19, worked 2 jobs, and still RSVP'd yes to the wedding because I thought maybe, just maybe, it could be one of those rare family moments where no one needed to compete. But instead, they drugged me with NyQuil in a cup of soothing tea, then cut my hair while I slept. My own parents. My roommate Becca came over in a panic when I called her, voice trembling. She gasped when she saw me. "They did this to you? On purpose?" I nodded. Becca didn't say anything for a moment. Then she pulled out her phone. "Okay, we're not going to the wedding like this. We're going to do something better." I didn't want revenge at first. I just wanted distance. But when Becca helped me record a voice memo, something I never thought I'd release, it changed everything. It was a recording I'd made weeks ago, purely out of habit. I used my phone to track little moments to tell my therapist, Mom saying I was a distraction when I posted a photo from a friend's bridal shower, Dad telling me, "Pretty girls ruin weddings with jealousy." At the time, I thought they were just rude jabs. But listening back with Becca, it became something darker, a pattern. And then Becca said, "You know, there's a way to make them listen." That night, I made a decision. I would show up to the wedding, but not as they expected. I would not wear the dress they sneered at. I would not speak the words they gave me for Hannah's toast. I would take their script and shred it. And that would be just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Becca helped even out my hacked hair into a sleek, edgy bob. "You look like someone who's about to expose a family," she whispered as she styled the last strand. By morning, I had a plan. I arrived at the wedding venue early before the chaos kicked in. A sprawling vineyard estate. Of course, they picked something photogenic. Hannah's dream wedding was bought with my parents' savings, my mother's fake smiles, and my father's unshakable pride in the real daughter. I was just a side character, but not today. I'd rehearsed the speech I was supposed to give, some Hallmark nonsense about sisterhood and forever bonds. Instead, I walked up to the microphone at the rehearsal brunch when the mood was warm and smug, and I said, "Hi, everyone. I know I'm not the favorite daughter. That's never been a secret, but I'm here to say something different today." You could feel the air shift. My mother's smile twitched. "I want to talk about what happens behind the family portraits. When people say they love you but cut you, literally, to keep you from outshining someone else. When they drug you with tea so you sleep through the sabotage. When parents treat your existence as a threat to the child they actually love." Gasps. One uncle dropped his fork. My dad stood up. "Enough." But I didn't stop. "You don't get to rewrite who I am anymore. You don't get to trim me down. Hide me or pretend this didn't happen." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. My mother's voice clear and cold. "She thinks she'll look better than Hannah? We'll fix that." Then my father's laugh. "We'll cut it while she sleeps. Girls like her need reminders." The silence was deafening. You could see people putting forks down, guests turning to one another in horror. I ended with, "You taught me shame. Now I'm teaching you consequences." Security escorted me out because my parents started yelling. My sister was in tears, not because of me, but because this will ruin my photos. But it wasn't over. The video went viral within 24 hours. Becca uploaded the full clip online, captioned, "This is what happens when you weaponize family." It blew up, millions of views, celebrities reposted it, TikTokers lip-synced it. I got DMs from strangers saying, "Thank you for saying what I never could." But the best part? A week later, I received an email from a wedding magazine editor. She said, "Your story isn't just brave, it's something we want to feature. How would you feel about a photo shoot and article called 'The Uninvited Sister Who Stole the Show'?" I said yes. The photo shoot was everything my parents tried to steal from me. Elegant, powerful, unapologetically me. They did my makeup, styled my new hair, and wrapped me in gowns that shimmered louder than shame. That was the beginning of the second chapter of my life. 3 months passed. My family still hadn't reached out, not to apologize, not to explain, but they didn't need to. The world had already turned its eyes on them. My video had become a cultural moment. Talk shows debated it. Bloggers analyzed every word. Pretty privilege. Sister rivalry. Emotional abuse masked as tradition. I was now the face of every daughter who had ever been silenced in favor of a shinier sibling. But I wasn't looking for fame. I wanted freedom. And I wanted to make sure they never silenced another girl again. It started with an email from a woman named Cynthia Ray, CEO of a high-end fashion brand that specialized in rebranding damaged reputations through truth. Her daughter had been through something similar. She offered me a job, not just as a model, but as the creative director for a new campaign called "You Can't Cut Power." Photo shoots, press tours, TEDx talk requests. I turned my pain into purpose. Meanwhile, the fallout back home was predictable. Their suburban neighborhood turned cold. Wedding guests who had cheered for Hannah now avoided eye contact at grocery stores. The priest who officiated her ceremony told his church she should have been the one asking for forgiveness, not validation. Even Hannah's new husband, Greg, who had stayed silent during the haircutting scandal, walked out 6 weeks after the wedding. Apparently, he found a box of printed Instagram comments his new bride had written under anonymous accounts attacking me online. She wasn't just complicit, she was obsessed, and now, alone. I wish I could say that made me feel better, but the truth is, I didn't care anymore. I was too busy building something they could never taint. The real revenge came when Cynthia made me an offer. "We're opening our first creative office in your hometown. Want to run it?" I laughed. "You're serious?" She nodded. "Imagine! Same town. But this time, you're the one people want to impress." So I did it. We opened a sleek, sunlit creative space right downtown, on the same street my parents used to drag me past to get to my sister's piano recitals. This time, it had a giant window decal that read, "Power cannot be cut." The week we launched, my team hosted an open house. Local press came, activists, survivors, and yes, even a few of my old high school classmates who used to mock my quietness showed up asking for internships. But the cherry on top? My parents walked in, uninvited, unannounced. My mother wore oversized sunglasses. My father had clearly aged in those months. Maybe it was guilt, maybe it was exposure, maybe it was just losing control. They didn't recognize the woman standing at the front, poised, powerful, camera ready. They tried to act like nothing had happened. "We're proud of you," my mother said softly. I smiled. "That's funny. You haven't been proud of me since I had braces." My dad chuckled, trying to lighten the mood. "We all make mistakes. Families heal, right?" I walked over to the front desk. Would you like to leave a comment card? We take feedback seriously here. They blinked. Otherwise, I continued, I have a full room of people I actually respect waiting to hear me speak. As I turned away, I saw them standing in place, out of place, uncomfortable in the very space they once thought I was unworthy of. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to shame them. The building, the people, the success, that was louder than any insult. But just as they walked out the glass doors, I called after them. By the way, next time you try to cut down a daughter to elevate another, just remember, scissors dull, but some girls sharpen. They never came back, and I never needed them to. Because I had finally learned they didn't define my beauty. They didn't define my power. And they never, ever had the right to define my worth. Not with scissors, not with silence, not ever again. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this